years, it's been eons since I have actually recorded a video in this series. If you don't know what the series is, I'm basically just going over all the positions on the maps on the defending side, and I'm teaching you good spots you can play, and I'm also teaching you what the disadvantages can potentially be while you are playing these spots. So we're going to get started right away, and we're going to start with A site. I got to close my window because it's fucking freezing in here. Okay, now that we're back, now that my window's closed, let's get this shit started, yeah? So we're going to start off on A long, and A long is a good spot to play, mainly if you have an op, but you can play this. I play this on pistol rounds, sometimes I'll just peek out here. But just know that it is very dangerous, and if they are holding it with an op, you will die. On pistol rounds, it's good to just peek this and hold for info. But the second you get the info, and potentially the kill, you're going to want to just fall right off of it. You can push up. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you know they're leaning towards C, you could go here and just try and work your way in. I just don't do this shit every round, because some people will like push through every fucking round, and it makes them so predictable, and they're extremely easy to punish when you learn that they're just pushing in over and over. So if you're gonna push in, don't do it every fucking round. Next spot we have is this close cubby. And this close cubby. This spot's okay to play. It's a one and done position, obviously. I'll play it occasionally when I'm on an eco round, but generally on rifle rounds I won't play it. If you're playing post plants, this can be a very powerful spot to actually play. You could play right here and just watch this, and if they come out, you can swing, or if it's planted for you, it's even better. But just know, if there are like 4 of them alive and it's a 1v4, this spot is pretty much suicide. So it's a decent spot, but generally on rounds where they're pushing in, you don't really want to play here because it's really hard for you to actually rotate out of the spot. You're pretty much dead in the fucking water with no mechanic around. So it's not that good of a spot to play. This box up here, I talked about this one time when I was on Pro Guide's ass, and I went a little hard on this spot. Yes, it's a very pre-aim spot. I do pre-aim this a lot, but I don't always pre-aim it. And if you sit here and wait for them to walk up, I've learned you can catch people off guard. If you just wait for them to walk up, don't actually swing it and hold it like this. Just wait for them to walk up and then swing out, and you can usually get the drop on people because they already cleared this. They won't expect you to be up here. You can hold it like this. It's still decent, but like I said, it is pre-aimed, so it's not the world's best spot, but it's good. It's pretty fucking good. This spot is also pretty good. It's basically a better variation of this spot because you're not as close to the fucking wall. You can see pretty much the whole area right here. Just know that when you're playing this spot, they can just walk right up here if you don't have anyone watching your long. So this spot's also very good. You can get up here with Jet and Sage and pretty much anyone that can use fucking mobility in this game. So solid spot. Try it out. You can get on top of these sight boxes if you jump from heaven, I believe, or you can just play right here. This is a decent spot to play with Sage. I've caught people off doing this, but just know you're exposed to 2 angles at once. And this box here is usually your main cover. You can get on top of it. You can play up here and just watch this. As long as somebody is watching your long, this is actually a pretty goddamn good off angle. People won't expect you to be up here. You can get a kill and you can fall. It's pretty goddamn solid. This spot I do not recommend playing at all, because when they are pushing in, you're pretty fucked here. If you are in a position where they're pushing up on you, you should never play in this spot because you can't leave. So if they push up, you have to stand your fucking ground. So the best way to actually play this spot, or this part of sight, would just to be peeking from this angle and waiting for them to push up. And you can kind of work your way around sight, and you're able to be unpredictable and be able to surprise them. So don't play in this spot. This spot's pretty fucking bad, unless you have a escape route like a wall or a smoke. It's not a very good spot. If you're playing on eco rounds, it can be good if there's smokes down here and you decide to come in here. But once again, it's not the best spot to play. This spot's very good for retakes, but they can see you right there. Last game I played, actually, there was a fucking Jet that jumped up here, and I heard her use her updraft, so I automatically knew she was in this spot. So just know that this spot, it's pretty good for catching people off guard, but if there's 2 or more coming through this choke, you probably won't get more than 1 kill. So this spot right here is really good. The only problem with it is if they decide to hard clear this, it's not the best angle because you're just sitting in this corner. But if they decide to walk up on that side of the wall, on the far side of the wall, they aren't going to be able to see you nearly as easily as if they walk up on the close side. Because when they walk up on the close side, you're going to be in their LOS way faster than if they walk up on the long side. You're barely going to be seen. So it's a pretty damn good spot. It's a good off angle. People don't always expect it. You can usually get 1 kill here, and then you can swing to different parts of the site and just work your way around here. So pretty solid spot. A's got some pretty damn good spots for the most part. It's a pretty decent site to hold. Now heaven, obviously, it's just heaven. You get a pretty good oversight of the site, but you generally will get fucked by utility, and if they get out onto site, they're just going to spam the ever-living fuck out of you, and you can't really do much from here. I don't recommend jumping down, because a lot of people will play under there in a retake scenario. And you can jump to this box from here, but it's really just not the best spot. It can be good. If you're opping, you can get a quick pick, and then you can fall and rotate the site. Just know that you should never play a whole round in heaven. You should never play a whole round in heaven. Now, this spot is pretty good. It's just a decent one and done that you can play. You can play this with rifles. I have done it before where I'll play it and I'll fall off and just start clearing like this. So it's a decent spot. There's not much to say about it. This spot back here is okay. And you can put a wall up here. And you can kind of jump up and see into heaven. It's a bit more of a far off angle that people won't expect, because usually they expect you playing up there. So it's not generally as pre-aimed, and I believe you can get somewhat of an angle down into alt mid, but not much. And if they push up, you can kind of do this, but it's not that good when they push up. You can always fall back behind it, but then they're going to know you're behind it too. So I don't recommend playing this spot, but it can be good for an off angle into mid. So now this spot, obviously I've went over this one before. This is a pretty good headshot spot. You can do it on both sides. I personally prefer this side more because you can see the actual peak side. This side, you can't really see the peak side, so you're kind of at the mercy of, you know, whether or not they're actually swinging out. But this side's pretty good too, because if they do decide to swing and they clear all this, they aren't going to know you're here most of the time, so you can get a pretty decent kill here. And just know that you can block off different routes of paths for the enemy team if you put a wall here as opposed to in the center of it. This spot, you know, this spot, I went hard on it last time, but it is a good spot, okay? I'm sorry, it's a good spot. Just know that it is a one and done most of the times. If you have a teammate here to smoke you out, you can actually get out if they're not just full out fucking bum rushing you. But if they do decide to big dick rush you down, you probably will end up dead most of the times. But if you have utility usage and you play this position right, it can be very effective and very powerful. This spot's good. I play this spot pretty often when I'm playing mid. And all you're doing is sitting up here, you're waiting for this. If you don't see anything for a while, you can slowly start to clear different parts of mid. And you can convey to your team that the shit's clear as fuck. You can see pretty much all of mid from here, so it's a pretty solid position. And if you get overwhelmed, you can easily fall to wherever the fuck you want. You have so many options up here. It's nice. Now this spot I wouldn't really recommend. It's a decent spot with you if you're holding with like an op. But if you're holding this with an op, you'd want to be a little bit deeper in, just because if they decide to swing you from this side, you can't really react to that very well. Like, I guess you can flick down, but that's about all you're going to be able to do in a situation like this. This spot's pretty good. I like this a bit better because you can't expose yourself from the right side nearly as much, and you can still get a pretty decent angle into fucking mid. So, decent spot. Now this spot is also very good because you can watch the walk up from alternate middle. It's not the best thing in the fucking world. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's pretty damn good. You can swing a little wider, but you are very exposed to alternate middle. So if you decide to push out here, especially if you're right here, you're tunnel vision. Given if you play it with a rifle, you won't be. But I don't recommend just like straight up peeking this. I don't really like it when people peek mid on this map because a lot of the times they will get picked and they will die. Mid on T side is where I find most of my picks because people will just play right here or on top of the box and it's a pretty easy kill. So generally I don't like peeking mid, and I am a Sage main, so I usually just block this fucking corridor off and I'm good. But now garage is a very hard spot to play. If you're playing someone with utility, definitely at the start of the round you should be smoking this off because people will just swing along this wall and they'll try and take gunfights with you, and if you get one, sure, that's cool, but a lot of the times you're gonna get traded. So generally I'd put a wall up here and I could kind of peek over it, and then if I get overwhelmed I just leave because yes, it's an important spot to hold, but it's also a very dangerous spot to play. So you can play here, and you can also play like right here in this corner. It's a pretty decent spot because if they walk in, they probably won't be expecting it, but a lot of the times they will. And if there's like 3 of them coming in, you can bet your fucking ass that they're gonna kill you. This spot's okay, but it's not very good. Now this spot's okay because you can kind of see these boxes over here, but if they're walking up on this side and you can't see them, so that's a big problem with this spot. And if you're trying to aggress, the best way to aggress here is starting the round off here, and if they haven't really been putting much pressure here, what you could do is you could slowly clear this out. You can work your way through. And your biggest worries are going to be here and obviously mid-window. So you're going to have to come out pre-aiming this. And then maybe worry about your corner. So that's one way you can clear this out, and it's a decent spot to start from if you know they're not putting pressure. If they are putting pressure and you aren't a utility character, don't play this spot, because if they decide to rush through, you're dead. I play this spot a lot when I'm Sage, and I'll listen for a bit, and if I hear them, I'll wall it off. But if I don't hear anything, I will sometimes just aggress through, depending on how the round's going and depending on how the game's going. This spot is terrible. This spot you can basically just play the same exact shit right here. So don't play this spot right here. It's not good. You can get on top of this box, and you get a decent angle into here. But if they walk up right here, your crosshair can only be in one spot. So like they can walk up here, or even just swing that, and you have to adjust your crosshair pretty fast. So it's a difficult angle to hold, but it can be pretty surprising for people to deal with. I generally don't look here when I push in through there, and I know a lot of people generally don't. I don't actually play this position, but I know it can be a strong position. Nobody really plays it that much. This spot's good if you are holding for alt mid. It's a one and done once again, so I need to preface every one and done. It's a decent spot, but at the same time, people can just run out and kill you if there's more than 2 of them, and you have to worry about 2 different places. If your teammate's not watching that, you're gonna be pretty fucking scared just sitting in this corner, worried about what the fuck you're gonna do, right? So just know that it's a pretty goddamn scary position to play, and it's not always the best position to play. So keep that in mind. If you have a wall, you can play this, and if they're not walking up, you can kind of surprise them by sitting here, or you can move into here and wait for them to walk up and swing out and get the kills. You can play here. I don't recommend it. I definitely don't recommend it, but if you have like an eco weapon, it's a decent spot to play. But if you are not ecoing, I definitely don't recommend playing in this spot whatsoever. This is just such a close angle, and if they're running fast enough, they'll probably kill you. You might be able to get one, but generally the second person will kill you, so... This spot's also pretty damn good, also a one and done. So if you have people that can actually smoke you out, this is a pretty damn good spot, because people won't expect you to be playing here with like an op or even a rifle, really. You just gotta hit your shots here. So it's a good spot. Just hit your shots if you're playing this position. It is basically the same exact position as the fucking box position right here. It's basically its older fucking brother with more space to walk around in. So it's a pretty decent spot once again. It's basically the same thing goes with this one. If you're playing an eco round, this is probably the best instance to actually use this spot, unless you're crossfiring with someone on team who can kind of bait them into you. So if you have someone that's able to bait them into you, I guess it can be good, but generally you're going to want to play this with an eco, and even then you can do the bait and switch tactic like that. This spot, I went over about how much I fucking despise this spot, but it can be good in some situations. It really can be. So you can play up on this spot, and it's decent, but like at the same time, unless you have somebody to smoke you out, and this is for rifle runs, unless you have somebody to smoke you out or wall you off, there's really no way for you to actually escape this. You have to take as many fights here as possible, and a lot of the times you're going to end up fucking dead. So it's a decent spot, but it's not the best spot. It can catch people off guard, but it is a pre-aim spot. I like this spot in particular a lot, because a lot of you can see all 3 of the angles pretty damn well. So if they decide to walk up CT, you can still peek this angle, and you're protected from CT. If you want to peek CT and alt mid, you can do that. You're going to be exposed from CT, but generally you can just do this, peek one at a time, and it's a pretty solid spot. This is a really powerful position if played right, but you have to play it right. If you don't play this right, it's going to be very detrimental to actually play. You need to know how to get out of it, and you need to know the situation of the round. You don't want to start off in this position in a round half the times, because a lot of the times you don't want to start out in this position, because a lot of the times you don't always want to start out in this position, because it can be a very dangerous position to actually play. This spot is pretty damn insane. It's basically default box. Everyone always checks this spot. This is like the most checked spot. But if you're a fucking aim god, you can generally land some kills here. And if you're opping, you can also land some kills here pretty safely. And you can kind of slowly re-peek and re-shoulder into it. And you get a lot of intel because you're staring right down corridor. So it's a very fucking good spot. Now this spot, I actually love playing this spot, because you can actually just sit here if they're walking up on site, and you know they're walking up on site. You can sit here and you can make a pretty decent play for your team. You can kill them when they're planting, or you can wait for them to walk up on the side. And a lot of the times you're not expected to be here. It's really surprising that people don't check this spot. Even at fucking diamond rank, which I'm playing right now, people they seem to just forget this spot fucking exists. So it's a pretty solid spot, in my opinion. I actually really like playing this spot. It's very enjoyable. I get a lot of fucking plays in this spot for some reason. I still don't know why, but it happens. This spot's also very good. It's like that spot, except you aren't hiding like a bitch. You are just holding and waiting, and it's an off angle. You can crouch down here and you're even harder to see, or you can move to this side and it's even better. Now this spot up here is actually pretty damn good. You can actually kind of get an off angle into corridor, into C long. So I actually really like this spot. I played it a few times. It works pretty damn well. So keep this spot in mind because it can be very impactful. If you get overwhelmed, all you have to do, take a couple shots and fall right here and you're covered instantly. You can wall it off maybe, smoke it off, or flashbang, and you're completely safe. You can wait for your teammates to rotate to site and they can fucking help you out. This spot's also pretty much the same thing as I was talking about earlier, eco round, but it can be pretty useful if played right. Say I put my wall here instead of right there. You could play this spot, you could go for 1 kill, and then you could fall off, and it's pretty impactful. It can be pretty good. Generally, they won't be pre-aiming this spot. Like, nobody really ever pre-aims this spot. They're going to be focused on clearing this left angle and these, so you can usually get 1 free kill, and you have the potential to actually fall off. So, very powerful spot. Very good spot. The spot also can be very good. It's basically this spot, just a little bit more unexpected. People won't really expect you up here. People do play this spot pretty often, but it's generally not a spot that gets pre-aimed. So you can get some free kills here, and that could kind of give you the upper hand in some rounds. So it's pretty good to play. You can play it with a rifle, you can play it with an op, whatever the fuck your heart desires. Just know that this is open unless your teammate's doing it. So you can put an omen up in this spot, and it's very good. Just know that you're clipping into this spot right here. So you need to have the omen stand on the corner of this gray box, and you need to have him jump back a little bit as you place the wall, so he doesn't fucking break the wall. This spot's extremely unexpected. I have, in all my games, never seen a player play up here, and I've done it once or twice, and nobody really ever expects it. Just know that your ice wall is going to be wilting under you the entire fucking time. So it's a limited use, but it is very useful if they decide to rush down C. You can get 1 or 2 kills up here, and the likelihood of them actually pre-aiming this is nil. It's not gonna fucking happen. So this is another omen spot. This one's kind of fucking ridiculous. Nobody is ever gonna pre-aim this shit, and you have so much cover here. So this spot's really good. Just know that this is a very big barrier. So you're gonna have to do it like right on this corner as far back as you possibly can. It's a bit hard to line up, but if you do it right, your omen can get up here and he can look with a very, very powerful angle down into long. So it's a really good ass spot. Generally, I don't do combos with omens because I don't know any omen players, but if you do know omen players, this could be pretty fucking useful for them, and you could coordinate this shit with them pretty goddamn well. Now this spot's just basically giving you high ground on this already pretty damn good spot. So another good spot, and you can also, if you get a kill here and you want to get extremely aggressive and clear this shit out, you can do that. So good spot, good spot. Now this video is probably pretty boring. It's pretty hard for my peanut brain to make informational shit like this super enjoyable, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I just had to get another powerful positions video out because I haven't done a powerful positions in a while, and I know a lot of you have been asking for a new powerful positions video. So here it is, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button, and I will see you in the next video. Y'all have an amazing day. We're almost to 1K. I just wanted to say thank you for that. Goodbye.